So, Allison and Cassandra. Allison, you've been here for about 12 years, and Cassandra, about 6 years. Tell us how you got to Kelowna. Let's start with Allison.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Nelson.
Okay.
And about 12 years ago, I was just ready for a change. Kelowna is the next kind of logical step. You're close enough to drive home and visit family, but I just needed somewhere a little bit bigger. So 12 years ago, I packed up and was able to transfer with my job, and that worked out really well that way. But it's amazing, even coming here 12 years ago to now, the changes that have happened here.
Right.
Like, obviously, Kelowna was bigger than Nelson 12 years ago, but it is amazing to see the growth that's happened in those
changes.
Tremendous changes. And I go back to Nelson, and it's the same. So,
right.
Yes.
Tell us some of the changes you've noticed.
Well, just the development and the growth and the population. And what I love is that we're getting younger and more vibrant. And this population growth we're seeing is in that like 20 to 30s demographic. And we're kind of getting those young professionals, the development downtown and the high rises. It's very cool to see Kelowna kind of turn into like a big little city.
Yes.
Yeah.
True. And how about you, Cassandra? 6 years ago.
Yeah. So I am born and raised in Alberta.
Okay.
And so I lived in Lethbridge, and super windy there, and I hated it. And we would come here every summer, basically, like on vacation. So I had a quarter life crisis, and I was just like, I'm out. So I just packed up and moved to Kelowna.
Yeah, it's kind of neat when you realize people actually live here, and you can choose to live here. I used to go to Florida on vacations when I was a kid, lived in Toronto. And my dad said one time, he's like, people actually live here. And it was kind of a funny thing to say to a kid, but it stuck in my head. And I actually got to live in Florida for 2 years.
Oh,
but
nice.
You both run the Earth to Table organization. Mm-hmm. Tell us what that is for those who don't know.
So we started it actually a year ago in October.
Okay.
And we started with kind of a relatively small scale of just bringing local vegan vendors together. It was as simple as that. And it was just a brainchild of a random conversation we had that wouldn't it be nice if we could have one-stop shopping for vegan items? Because both of us try to shop local. There are so many amazing vendors here. But we were finding you'd end up going to, 3 or 4 different places, maybe a farmer's market, to kind of find what you were looking for. So it was as simple as that. Just we wanted one stop.
Did you start in the same location as you are now?
No. We started at the Kelowna Forum. We had about 40 vendors at our first market, but we basically outgrew the space there by the time our January market rolled around. So we moved to the Laurel Packing House and doubled the vendors and the attendees for that market.
Wow. Do either of you have a cat allergy?
I have 2.
You have 2 cats?
Yeah.
Okay, so no allergy.
No allergy. She was just like, give me the cat.
I know, I was trying
2 cat allergies?
Cool.
Okay, that's great.
I would have to correct you though, we had 20 vendors.
Oh, sorry, yes.
20 vendors currently. How does this run? Is it once a week, or how does it go?
Quarterly. Yeah.
Quarterly,
Yeah.
so every 3 months. And you advertise, I guess, on social media and the paper and so on.
Yeah, social media has been kind of the biggest outlet for us. We obviously do a bit of advertising between, online media, Kelowna Now, Castanet has been great picking up our story. But Facebook and Instagram have kind of been our major ways of reaching people.
Great. So when's the next one?
November 4th.
All right. And tell us about some of the vendors.
Well, we've expanded quite a bit. We started off with, I'd say, primarily food and probably, home products, I guess. And then we've really expanded into, cosmetics, again, household products, liquor, food, I feel like clothing. Am I missing anything?
So tell me a little bit about a household product or cosmetic that is vegan. What does that mean to say it's a vegan household product?
Well, some household products are tested on animals,
right.
And then with makeup, there are a lot of animal byproducts in some really commonly used brands. So there is a lot of change too, because some of those commonly used brands, they're cruelty-free in Canada, but they manufacture out of China, which don't hold the same regulations as we do.
Right.
So technically they're not cruelty-free, but we're seeing a lot of, especially Canadian companies, adopt a cruelty-free production, I guess. So they are moving more in that direction, but this just ensures that when people come to the market that they don't have to be like, well, do you manufacture in China? Like, is it all made here? Like, we know that all of our vendors produce everything ethically.
Right. So, have you always been vegan?
No.
And maybe... Sorry, this is the first time he's done it.
You can sense you're a cat lover.
Yeah.
Like they're vegans.
Right, for sure. This cat is a Norwegian forest cat.
Oh.
And they were favored by the royalty in Norway because they're pretty aggressive hunters.
Oh, okay.
But they're very loyal to humans. So they get along great with humans. So you can understand why the kings and queens love these guys.
It's like, he seems super aggressive.
Yeah, no, not with people. Just like with mice. And, you know, things like that. So, so tell us about your story becoming a vegan.
Well, I had been vegetarian for probably 12 years.
Okay.
Back when I was in Nelson. And for me, it was an ethical choice. I have always just loved and respected animals. And it just reached a point where I was like, why am I supporting an industry that is very cruel to animals? So I just cold turkey, pardon the pun, stopped eating meat then and there.
Right. So that's when you became vegetarian.
Vegetarian, yeah.
Vegan takes it a step further.
A step further. Right? So probably a year ago, just through conversations with Cass, who watches a ton of documentaries and passes this along to me, you kind of start getting educated in other areas, like the dairy industry. So veganism takes it a step further where you're not eating any animal byproducts. Or supporting those industries. So I just found once I kind of was more educated and I understood those industries, I couldn't ethically support them anymore. So it's definitely an adjustment, right? Like you don't realize how many things have animal products in them.
Right.
So it's been, it's a journey and it's not always perfect and you're learning as you go and you figure things out. But yeah, it's been amazing. It's just one of those things that once you're aware, your eyes are open, you start to look at what you're eating and what you're consuming and what you're putting in your body and, you know, what you're doing to this earth. So it's been eye-opening.
And how about you, Cassandra?
I went vegetarian only, I think it was 5 years ago. It was basically right when I moved here. Yeah. So my fiance and I watched Earthlings, which is kind of a documentary. Yeah, right? And I find it's like everyone's like beginner documentary. Right. So we like immediately after watching that decided to go vegetarian together.
Did it totally gross you out, or tell us a little bit about that
documentary? It was hard to watch, and it's weird too because I think everybody knows where their food comes from, but you just don't make that link. So this documentary really just showed you kind of like where it's coming from, what exactly happens to the animals, and it explores I believe I get them all mixed up now, like all the documentaries, but that one also explores a bit of like the clothing industry as well.
The fur industry.
So it was just really eye-opening, and I wasn't super Albertan in the sense that I was always like steak and potatoes, but I definitely did eat meat before that. But even when I was on my last few years of living there, I was just kind of like, it's not my thing. Like, so we had cut back to primarily like my sister and I were just eating basically like chicken and fish. Yeah. And then so it was kind of an easier transition for me because I didn't have to, I guess, give it all up at once. Right. But yeah, so that documentary just really opened up our eyes to the animal welfare aspect of things. And then, like Allison said, I kind of became like a little bit of like a documentary junkie, and I read the China study and just started like learning about like the planet and how it's affected by us consuming all these products, and like it re-emphasized the animal welfare aspect, but also the health, which was what really hit home for me was like the health aspect of it and how essentially sick we're making ourselves by consuming these products. So so then we went vegan in January of like 2017, I think it was. So
So how did the two of you meet for the first time? Do you know the story?
We had a mutual friend. So when she first moved here, she was living with our other friend, and we ended up meeting. And I think our bonding moment was we had gone out somewhere to eat.
It was Pita Pit.
And somehow it came out that we were both vegetarian.
Yeah.
And that was it.
So I was like, best friend. She's mine.
Yeah. That simple.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice. So, to be clear, vegetarianism is you don't eat any meat, but
Right.
veganism is you try to avoid all animal products. So, in clothing, even dairy products and so on, which a vegetarian might have a glass of milk, for example, but a vegan will not.
Exactly.
And tell us a little bit about the dairy industry. Like, what is it that separates a vegan from a vegetarian? What's the problem with dairy products, for example?
I think for a lot of people, the vegetarian aspect, what I hear over and over is, I can't give up cheese. That seems to be the sticking point for a lot of people.
Right.
And it's in everything.
Right.
When you go out to eat, cheese is in everything.
Yes.
But yeah, the dairy industry is kind of an interesting one because people are always saying, you know what, they produce the milk anyway, it's fine. But I think what they're not thinking about is we are breeding these cows on a massive scale, right? Like they're kept in feedlots. I think it's interesting once you start looking at the resource consumption to take care of these cattle, right? It's the land use, the water use, the air pollution,
Yes.
right? All of that is linked to keeping millions and millions of cows alive just to produce dairy. And it's amazing now because there's so many different options,
Right.
right? You don't necessarily need dairy. There's so many milk replacements, whether it's from almonds and cashews, pea milk, there's so many other ways.
Can you make cheese from almond milk? Yes.
You can definitely make your own. We actually have some amazing local vegan cheese producers.
Yes.
There's Black Sheep Cheese out of Kelowna and Pulse Cheese in Penticton. Amazing. So good. And I have fed it to meat eaters and vegetarians, and they all say the same thing, like, I can't believe this is vegan
Right.
cheese. Yeah, it's amazing.
Are they vendors at your next event?
They are, yeah.
Great. So what are you guys trying to do now? Are you trying to locate more vendors? How are you going to grow this from 20 vendors to, say, 100?
So we're at about 40 vendors now in the new space. And it was very interesting when we started out because we were researching and searching for vendors.
Yeah.
Being like, please come to our market and be a vendor. And now they are finding us.
Right.
5 markets in, it's fairly well known in the community, and we're having all these vendors that we didn't even know existed reach out to us and wanting to attend. So it's been great that way, and we're starting to get some vendors come up from Vancouver and Calgary
Nice.
for the market because it is such, I think, a growing industry here, and maybe one that people didn't realize was so big in the Okanagan. So I don't think Cass touched on it, but like our markets typically bring in 800 to 1,200 people through the door. So it's definitely, I think, bigger than even we realized when we were starting out.
Yeah.
Our hope for next year is to get a few more events in the books. We're hoping to do an outdoor event and do kind of an outdoor market in the summer.
Nice.
Yeah, so slowly diversify that way.
Do you, either of you, sell any products?
No.
No. And do you charge admission, or how do you...
We did at the beginning,
Yeah.
when we were just trying to figure out how we were going to run this and how it was all going to work. But as of our last market, we quit charging an admission fee.
Yeah, we just do by donation at the door. So our previous model, we were charging admission, and then we were donating a portion of the proceeds to a local animal rescue.
Great.
And then the last market, we ended up having that animal rescue at the door, and there was a donation bin, so people could just donate what they wanted when they came in.
Nice.
There was no pressure that way to, pay $5. They could donate what they wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a charge for booth space, though?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. And is there any chance that you could do this more frequently, like monthly? Or is it just way too much work?
I think this year was definitely like a test for us. We wanted to see how much people wanted to see this, and we do survey both our vendors and our attendees after each market to kind of gauge where we're at. But I mean, we're open to everything. I can't imagine we would go to monthly quite yet, but who knows, down the road, what will happen. And
this really helps the vendors too, because the attendees learn about the vendors, and they're like, oh, I could get this product at such and such store. Tell us about vegan clothing. So I understand leather is not vegan, but what other types of clothing are you concerned about?
Wool would be one as well.
Wool as well.
Yeah, suede.
Yeah.
Okay. So wool, now explain it to me as ignorant person, what's wrong with wool? Like, it seems that, to me, as a totally ignorant person, that the sheep actually like it. It's like getting your hair cut, isn't it?
You're more well versed in the wool thing, aren't you?
I don't know if I'm an expert in the field, but and I mean, I don't dispute there are probably smaller, more ethical ways of getting wool, and probably some small factories. But I mean, if you look into sort of the larger producers, maybe UGG is like a prime example. You see some horrific footage of them throwing sheep around, and there's just no care, right? And I think that's where.
And they're kind of like contained in a very confined space, and it's pretty terrible.
Yeah, and I think you'll find, I mean, there's probably even within veganism people that'll say one way, and that's probably fine. You know, Mary down the road has this lamb, and she takes good care of it, and maybe there's an ethical way of doing it. It's like honey.
Right.
I think honey is a point of contention. Some people are fine with it. Some people are, no, comes from an animal.
Right. It's really how the animals are treated, right? And the ethics of the person, the farmer, right? Do you offer any type of education? So, do you have anybody at your shows that are providing information about veganism? So if I walk in off the street, I don't know much about it, right? I see a lot of nice products, but why would I choose something over something else?
Well, I know some of, probably a lot of our vendors will have that conversation with people about their own products. We haven't sort of had a strictly educational booth. We do have local animal rescues, and of course the vendors talking about, you know, why they offer those products. I think we've kind of structured this as this is a welcoming environment, whether you identify vegan, vegetarian, you're a carnivore, you just want to learn more. We never want it to be that like angry vegan, where people didn't feel like they were comfortable to come in and they were going to get, you know, yelled at because they're not vegan, or, you know, we want it to be a welcoming space where, you know, and if you have questions, ask. Like, it's a safe environment. It's not going to be, you know, you're ignorant, you don't know. I think that was the big thing with us is no pressure. Come take a look, try some samples. You know, ask questions. It's all about education, right?
Well, especially with both of us, like, we've both screwed up our fair share of times. Like, so there's no judgment. And I think that, like, we're not going to get anywhere if we're shaming people. It's about education and being like, okay, well, maybe you identify as being vegan, but you still consume honey, or you eat cheese on the weekend, like, whatever. Every little bit helps. Every bit of effort everyone puts in, like, we're making progress. So that's what's important.
Makes sense. And would you like it if we put the links to some of these documentaries that you're talking about? So I'm sure you've seen a ton. And there's probably a small handful that if a new friend of yours were to say, hey, what documentary should I watch to get educated? I'm sure you've got a nice handful.
She can give you a library.
So I guess if you pick like 4 to 6 of your favorites, and we'll put the links in the show notes so that people can just click on it. Want to make it as easy as possible. The thing with podcasts is, like, a lot of times people are driving, or they're on the treadmill, or they're going for a walk, and they don't want to stop and write something down, or they intend to and they forget, right? They get busy with something else. So if we have a link where people just tap
make it
to
easy,
it,
for sure.
What sort of reactions have you got from your friends and your family when you decided to become vegan? You want to start? You're from Alberta. Does your family have ties to the cattle industry? I mean,
like all my friends and family do. I'm like the black sheep, but actually they've been like super supportive of it. Which, I mean, at first I found they were actually a little bit more hesitant when I went vegetarian. I think because that was like the initial shock, and then once I went vegetarian, they knew I was going to go vegan, so it wasn't as groundbreaking. But I think they're just curious, really. My parents struggled a little bit, like when I come home for Christmas, my mom would be like, I don't know what to feed you. And I'm like, just not the turkey. But yeah, they've been like super supportive, and like we've had friends come over and they want us to cook for them, and they'll be like, yeah, make it vegan, like we want to try it. So it's been really heartwarming in that sense, especially when it's my Alberta peeps coming to see me, because I mean, that's a lifestyle there, right? So
wow. And how about you?
I don't think anyone was surprised. I grew up in Nelson.
In Nelson, there's quite a lot of vegans and vegetarians in Nelson.
Yeah, and restaurants and options. So I don't think anyone was shocked when I went the vegan route, to be honest. And I'm finding the same thing. I think because it's getting more and more, I don't know if mainstream is the word, it's easier to eat out. So many restaurants have a vegan option or a vegan menu now.
Right.
So it's not, I think, maybe the challenge it maybe was even 10 years ago, where, you know, as a vegetarian, I was happy to find a veggie burger or like a salad I could take meat off of. Now you can go out and we have some great vegan restaurants here.
Yeah.
And so many restaurants have options. So I think, you know, there's less judgment that way. Friends don't seem to have an issue with going out or eating vegan with us. And,
that's great.
Yeah.
What about, I know Naked Cafe, or what other options are like only vegan? Are there other restaurants that just serve vegan food?
There's Salted Caramel Kitchen, which just opened in Lake Country.
Okay.
And they're 100% vegan as well.
Great.
Yeah.
And what are some good restaurants that serve all kinds of food but have some good vegan options?
Social 242, Crafty Kitchen, Central.
Central does an amazing vegan menu on Sundays.
Nice.
That's
Good
fantastic. Even some chain ones. Cactus Club has some really great vegan options now.
The Beyond Meat Burger.
The Beyond Meat Burgers everywhere. Yeah.
Right. So it's really spreading.
It's really spreading. And the food trucks we have now.
Oh, yeah.
There's Renegade Food Truck and
Round and Sharp.
Round and Sharp.
I haven't tried Renegade yet, but I've seen the Instagram and I've interviewed the fiance of the owner, and looks amazing. Looks super delicious.
I was just there yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Where is he parked right
They're
now?
kind of like, so if you're going to the west side, you would turn left, like where the Save-On would be.
Yeah.
So you kind of go behind Save-On, and it's like in a residential area, sort of, and then there's the Truck 59 cidery, and then they're parked right beside it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
They'll be at our market.
Yeah.
We'd like
on
to
November 4th.
So
Laurel Packing House.
they're going to have a table. They're not going to bring the truck.
They're bringing the truck.
The Laurel's great. They have a kind of a side parking lot that we always have food trucks in. So
nice. So he'll be just outside the Laurel. And tell me the date one more time.
November 4th.
November 4th.
And we're doing a Christmas themed market.
Yeah. It's a very merry vegan Christmas, and I love it.
So nice. So you've got food, clothing, household products like cleaning products, or what kind of?
Yeah, we've had some cleaning products in the past that have come through, so that's a nice thing. There's some rotation in vendors that come through.
Yeah.
Like soap and body products is another popular one. We're trying to get some kind of gift ideas for people. We have Talk Vegan to Me, which is a clothing company out of Calgary, and they do like vegan branded clothing, which is really cute. So we're trying to do it where you can come to your Christmas shopping, get some food for your Christmas dinner, one-stop shopping. We have Christmas carolers coming. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Cool. What do you do for work besides this? Cassandra.
I'm actually in school, so I'm finishing up my marketing degree right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is this going to help you with your efforts, do you think?
Yeah, like I've actually been working up until September. So I've been plucking away at this degree for the last, basically the entire time I've been here. And so I decided just to take the year off just to like get it done. So I mean, it has been super helpful, and one of the things we've talked about too is like we both were working full time, but we're both super passionate about this. So I'm hoping that being in school, I'll be able to allocate a little bit more time to the market and kind of help us.
So you graduate next year?
Yep.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Thanks.
And how about you? What do you do?
I'm a mortgage underwriter for Interior Savings Credit Union. So very different, but like Cass said, this is sort of a passion. So it's amazing when you're putting all this work and effort into something you truly love. It honestly doesn't feel like work.
Right.
Yeah.
So true.
I love doing it.
Similar to this podcast for me. And the goal is to connect people and also bring awareness to the amazing people of this city. So hopefully it helps a bit. And you know,
definitely.
if even a handful of people hear this and show up at your event, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to leave our listeners with if they're considering becoming vegan, if they're on the fence? What would you recommend they do? Watch a documentary.
Come to our market.
Come to the market.
Yeah, I think honestly coming to the market is such a nice introduction.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a pressure sale. It's not someone yelling at you. It is come, explore the market, There's liquor vendors. You can have a little glass of wine while you're
eating
eating cheese.
Right.
So it's a really great and welcoming environment. And, if you're on the fence or you're interested in learning more, it is such a good baby step into it. And you're going to learn about just all the great, amazing vendors we have in Kelowna and the Okanagan that are making vegan products. And I think that's the best part, is you're supporting local too.
I think it's a great idea that you girls have, because I think part of the concern people have is they won't be able to find enough to wear. They won't be able to find enough to eat, right? That options are limited. But that's really not true, is it?
No.
What's your favorite plate of food? Do you have one? There's probably lots, but like off the top of your head, what's your...
My go-to is, I love Minimalist Baker.
Yes, that is a great cookbook.
She does great, sort of very simple recipes with stuff that's not kind of weird and quirky to find. And she does amazing stuff. I made her quinoa Thai peanut meatballs the other day. Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I love Minimalist Baker and Vegan for Everybody. That's what it's called. That one's a little bit more complicated. I would definitely recommend Minimalist as like a starter cookbook, because it is simple, and like a lot of those recipes are gluten-free too, which is appealing to a lot of people. But the one thing that we make that I think is my favorite is, there's a vegetarian/vegan restaurant in Calgary called The Coop, and they came out with a cookbook, and it's like a peanut butter saute. So it's like rice noodles and spinach and broccoli and like peanut butter. It is amazing.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
You're making me hungry. Who would you like to nominate to come on the show in the future? Allison?
I would love to nominate the team at Black Sheep Cheese, because they are doing amazing things and their product is fantastic, and honestly, they are just the best people to work with. So I would love to hear them.
I would like to nominate Lisa Burke from Burke Hair Lounge. She actually does like cruelty-free hair. And she is a huge advocate in the LGBTQ community as well. She does a lot of work with like Naked Cafe to help spread the vegan love. So she's just like all over the place, and she's like a female boss, little entrepreneur.
Nice. What's the name of her?
Burke Hair Salon.
Burke Hair Salon.
Yeah.
Okay. Allison, Cassandra, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Luke Mankus is a realtor. He loves what he does. We asked Luke if he had any regrets about moving here in 2011. And he always says, yeah, one regret. And that is, he didn't move here sooner. When Luke came here, he didn't know anyone. He didn't know the neighborhoods or anything or anyone besides his daughter, who was 6 years old at the time. So he knows what it's like. Now, he's an expert and has helped well over 100 single people, couples, families, and investors with their real estate needs in the Okanagan. If you're new to our beautiful city, Luke can help you get connected with great lawyers, dentists, carpenters, landscapers, swimming pool installers, you name it. And whether you're new to Kelowna or not, Luke knows real estate. He can help you find a great property, negotiate a good deal, and hold your hand all the way through the process until the day you get your shiny new set of keys. Luke is known as a no-pressure kind of guy. He's had clients where it took even a year or more to get them into a property. He just doesn't believe in rushing things. On the other hand, when you decide it's time to act, he's diligent, and he'll work day and night until the job is done. Give Luke Mankus a call or a text message at any time. 778-215-4273. Again, that's 778-215-4273. 778-215-4273 to chat with Luke about real estate.